Sony really needs to think about firing the team who marketed this film. Ghostbusters, starring Kristen Wiig, Melissa McCarthy, Kate McKinnon, Leslie Jones, and directed by Paul Fieg. The reboot to the 80s classic tells the story of two scientists who wrote a book on paranormal activity, but then went separate ways. One went the respectable route, Aaron, played by Kristen Wiig, while the other, Abby, played by Melissa McCarthy, continue to try to prove the existence of ghosts. Fate brings them together once again when they encounter a ghost, and then they must prove what they saw was real. Does this sound similar to the original Ghostbusters? It doesn't, because it isn't. The film tells a new story with new characters and does a good job in doing it. The trailers had me worried. They seemed not to have an original story, and looked to have many of the same beats from the original movie. It looked like they had a library ghost scene. They used the same lines from the original film. They showed the firehouse the first team uses in the first trailer. What the film actually does is tell a new story with new characters. While it doesn't work perfectly, it is entertaining and stands on its own. I don't understand why the marketing team who promoted this movie tried to rely on nostalgia to drum up excitement for this film. It backfired in a most spectacular way. There is a fine line in not giving away too much in trailers, while also drumming up excitement for the movie. They should have relied on more of the differences this movie had from the original than its similarities. The characters are all new and different from the original cast. Kristen Wiig does a good job in playing a straight-laced, uptight scientist. She is funny in the film, and most of her jokes hit. Melissa McCarthy does well with her role. Paul Fieg seems to always get the best, most reined-in performances from McCarthy, and does so again in Ghostbusters. I loved Kate McKinnon's crazy nut job scientist Holtzman, but she's going to be polarizing. Either you're going to love what she does or hate it. I don't think everything she did worked, but most of it did. I was most worried with Leslie Jones in her role, but she was funny and wasn't as over the top as she seemed to be in the trailers. I do wish they would have made her some type of scientist though. The show stealer for me was Chris Hemsworth, who played the receptionist for the new business. He was fantastic. Every joke he had made me laugh. He had great comedic timing. I even liked what they did with him in the third act of the film, but it was one of the only things story-wise that stood out in the end of the movie. The story falls apart at the end of the film. The motivations for the main villain aren't explored enough to be clear, and the ending feels rushed. There is also major chunks missing from the last part of the movie. It is painfully obvious that a major scene or two is missing from the last third of the film, but there is supposed to be a director's cut coming. I'm not sure why they would have cut these scenes unless it would have pushed the movie to an R status. I would be surprised if what was cut would have pushed that barrier. I'm not sure if adding these few scenes back would have fixed the last part of the movie, but it couldn't have hurt. I liked where the story was going in the first part of the film, but it really just goes off the rails at the end. I did, however, enjoy most of the ghost fight scenes in the last part of the movie. Holtzman in particular has a fantastic fight, and many of the new toys she creates get put to great use. I like the CG ghosts in the film. Many probably won't, but I thought they looked great and were used well throughout the movie. The ghost fighting scenes are some of the best in the film, and this, along with the comedy, made Ghostbusters a treat to watch. It is far from a perfect film with the way they tell the story and the constant cameos that are jammed into the movie. They could have done away with the Bill Murray character and a few others, and the movie would have been improved. I get having the cameos. It's just the characters they created don't fit the tone of the film. They all stand out instead of fit into the movie. This being said, I like the film. It was enjoyable, and I could see myself watching it again. I, for one, never hated the idea of a new Ghostbusters movie. I would have preferred a continuation of the original storyline, but I didn't hate the idea of a reboot. I was just happy to get more Ghostbusters, which I've been wanting since the end of the second movie. Nothing is going to ruin my enjoyment of the first two films. The first is close to perfect, and I still enjoy watching the second. So maybe it's not surprising that I enjoyed this one. I think the film is worth seeing, and worth seeing multiple times, just probably not in theaters. I know many don't agree, but I think if you give it a chance, you can enjoy the new imagining. Comment and let me know what you thought of Ghostbusters if you saw it. Like, share, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. Thanks for watching.